This open mind that President Xi is keeping with regard to supporting Russia militarily comes at a time of deepening acrimony between China and the U.S. Former ambassador to China and former Senator Max Baucus understands such tension. He's been there, done that. Ambassador, great to have you with us.
Thank you very much. Good to be here. Thank you.
Well, as we wait on the transcript, hopefully we will get more about this call. But do you think that Biden will tell China to be on the right side of history here and tell President Xi that he needs to tell Putin to end this war?
Clearly, the United States wants the war ended. More than that, the Ukrainians want it ended. Frankly, I think China does too. There's no question. President Biden will speak very strongly about the consequences that China will pay if China in any material way supports Russia. President Biden, I think, is in a very strong position right now. That's because Putin appears to be very weakened. Russia is very weakened. Russia's not done very well in Ukraine. And not only that, the Ukrainians are forcing a huge, big resistance against Putin. And after that, the resolve of all the allies and other Western countries. So Biden speaks from a position of power, a position of strength, and explained to President Xi that he better not support Russia. But it's really up to China at this point. So
do you think Xi will listen to Biden?
He'll listen, but that's part of the problem. He will only listen. Yeah. And he'll utter platitudes, saying the right things, saying how China wants to be a broker, play a role to wind down the war in Ukraine. That's probably what he'll say. And also, if he repeats what Yang Jiechi said to Jake Sullivan just a week ago, that China will not tolerate any U.S. action with respect to Taiwan, interfering with their control of Taiwan. But still, the big question is, China will probably kind of play footsie with Russia. They'll say one thing and maybe do another. They'll help a little bit, but not too much. The main perspective from China is China wants to be a world power. It'll do all it can to be a world power, and it's going to play different countries off the other in order to achieve that goal.
Well, playing footsie with Vladimir Putin can be a ferocious thing, so stay tuned on that. Can you just tell me more then, in light of that, about this relationship between President Xi and Putin? What is it, this attraction, this bit of loyalty, I guess you could say, between these two?
Well, they're both autocrats. Neither country is a democracy. And so each respects the other, and each wants to deal with the other, knowing that it doesn't have to worry too much about democratic forces in the other country. Add to that, they have a common border, and it's fraught with intention. Sometimes, actually, prior to the visit of President Nixon to China, there were about 1 million troops, Russian troops, positioned on the Chinese border. That's one reason Nixon went over to say, hey, we're with you, China, as you try to do with Russia. So it's hot and cold, the relationship with China and with Russia, and each uses the other to its advantage. China needs a lot more energy than it consumes. It needs to buy Russian oil, and Putin wants to sell oil to Russia. And I think because Putin's in a weak position right now, that China will be able to get better terms when it purchases oil from Russia. But essentially, it's a relationship of they kind of respect each other. They're not really bosom buddies. They're not great friends, but they use each other in order to gain their advantages.
Yeah. All roads lead to oil. So what more would you suggest that NATO countries do to try and deter China?
First we have to deter Russia and Ukraine. And I think the NATO countries are doing a very, very good job. They're sending all kinds of supplies, the aid, short of outright military aid. I think that would be a disaster if they were to do so, because that would be a full-scale war with Russia and potential consequences. But I think NATO is in kind of an ambiguous position with respect to China. Don't forget, there's a lot of trade and investment between NATO countries, European countries, and China. I mean, U.S. and China, and Ukraine and China, and Ukraine and Russia. So that the economic forces are very strong, and frankly, they're kind of an underpinning of peace. Because if more of the economy implodes in all our countries, more that's going to hurt an awful lot of people. So we'd like to maintain as much economic ties as we can. The problem here is we use sanctions to achieve a political public policy aims, and frankly, these don't work very well. They don't change behavior. They hurt a lot of people. But we do that because we do not want to use military forces.
Well, these sanctions on Russia are also impacting China, so we'll see how this goes. We'll follow it. We sure appreciate your time and experience, former ambassador to China, Max Baucus. Thanks, Max.